Excellent. So, here we are recording the last part of the last chapter of 1984, and we are going to get things done. Hey, there we go, just so I can see anyone who pops in. Alright, so we are at the part where Winston and Julia are walking through the park. They have met. They have realized that they can't really enjoy each other's company anymore because, they both betrayed each other to the party, and you can't really look someone in the eye after you've done something like that. So they're going to go their separate ways.
At the time when it happens, she had said.
Yes, they do something terrible to you, don't they? They do, alright.
He took up his glass and sniffed at it. The stuff grew not less but more horrible with every mouthful he took.
Okay, so it seems like I'm going to basically be setting up from that point. We're going to be beginning from when Winston is sitting alone in the cafe and just dwelling on his own misery. So, yeah, fun.
He had not merely said it, he had wished it. He had wished that she and not he should be delivered over to the... Something changed in the music.
Right, okay, so that's starting right away. No problem. I'm just going to go and shut my front door. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Sorry, it's a bit rude, I know, to walk away midstream, but that's making a lot more background noise than I thought it would. So, one moment. Alrighty. Hopefully that should be a bit better. Yeah. Alright. Here we go. Okay, so we have a weird noise coming in over the telescreen, and then it's going to lead on into a song. And I think I remember where the song is. Let's have a look. I believe it's in chapter 4. I am wrong. Okay. 5? Maybe 6? Let's see. No, I don't know. Alright, we're going to have to do a little search for Chestnut. And it is... we want that one. Where is it? Chapter 7. Ah, I was just about there. Let's just make sure this is the right version. I think it is. Yep, that's it. Okay, neat. Still quite fond of that song. That's good. Alright, SFX. And we need... it's described as a yellow note in the book. I don't know exactly what that's supposed to mean, so... let's see.
Something changed in the music that trickled from the telescreen. A cracked and jeering note, a yellow note, came into it.
A cracked and jeering note, a yellow note. Alright, well let's have a look at what we've got. I've certainly got a few things that would work. I'm not even sure I'm in the right spot because there's one bit in particular that I'm thinking of that I think would do the job nicely, and it is one of these ones. That one's a bit obvious. It's obviously something falling like that. There we are. Oh yeah. Man, I love that one. I've used it in a few spots. I used it in Brave New World, of course, and it's just a good sound. It's a good sound. And it's just an old iron door being opened. It's nothing special, but it does the job perfectly. So excellent.
Changed in the music that trickled from the telescreen. A crack.
Right. Okay. So, yeah, we'll have that come in from right there, and fade you out a little bit. It does come back later though, so we won't kill it completely. I prefer to just fade a music track out rather than cut it off and delete it, whack, get it gone, because later on, if it fades back in, I don't want it to be at that point where we've cut it, you know. I want it to fade out and then come back in naturally at whatever point the song would be at after that much time has passed. I know it's an uptight thing, no one's going to notice it except me, but there's a lot of things like that where I try and make things natural for you. And whether your conscious mind notices or not, your subconscious might. And if it notices enough to make it jarring and to tear you out of the story, then that is no good. Okay, so here is our note. Let's see how it sounds in volume.
A cracked and jeering
Further on.
note, a yellow note, came into it.
And we'll have to drop it quite a bit.
A cracked and jeering note, a yellow note, came into it. And then, perhaps it was not happening. Perhaps it was only a memory taking on the semblance of sound.
Right, okay, so here is where we'll have to start building up the chestnut tree piece. Here we go, because we want the actual sung part, which I think is here to here. That's what it looks like anyway. We want that to come in and sort of flow a bit naturally, you know. So let's see, we'll fade you in, and that's going to be a real slow fade, I think. We'll see how that goes. From there, and we'll drop you a bit so it's a nice smooth fade, and it's not. We don't want it too heavy. I mean, back here the military medley is still playing. Then we have the cracked and jeering note, and then he has to sort of notice the new song. So we'll see. It might actually be a bit further on. We'll have a listen.
A cracked and jeering note, a yellow note, came into it. And then, perhaps it was not happening. Perhaps it was only a memory taking on the semblance of sound. A voice was singing.
Alright, so that was just a placeholder in the original recording there. We are going to or maybe we should line them up. No, because I did sing it. Alright, so it goes there though.
Memory taking on the semblance of sound. A voice was singing.
Let me just check. We'll kill this one.
Told me. Tears were.
And then that's the next line. Alright, sweet. And it's just the first couple of lines of this song. It's not the whole thing.
A voice was singing. Under the spreading chestnut tree, I sold you and you sold me. Tears welled up in his eyes.
There we go. Alright, so that can continue. In fact, I kind of like that timing a bit, as haphazard and random as it was.
You and you sold me. Tears welled up in his eyes.
As long as this volume drops. There lie they, and here lie we, under the spreading chestnut tree. Very fond of that song. I'm not a particularly good musician, but every now and again I get to write something that's kind of pretty, and I like it.
Tears welled up in his eyes. The passing
Lower.
waiter noticed that his glass was empty
No, not that low.
and came back with a gin bottle. He took up his glass and sniffed at it. The stuff grew not less but more horrible with every mouthful
Not that high.
he drank. But it had become the element he swam in. It was his life, his death, and his resurrection. It was gin that sank him into stupor every night, and gin that revived him every morning. When he woke, seldom before 1100, with gummed-up eyelids and fiery mouth and a back that seemed to be broken, it would have been impossible even to rise from the horizontal if it had not been for the bottle and teacup placed beside the bed overnight.
Wait, that's wrong. That is wrong, because it has to come through the radio, doesn't it? It does. So we're going to load up that. Oh, I'm glad I caught that. That would have irritated me endlessly if I hadn't got it. Oh, gosh darn. Where did I put Chestnut again? Chapter 7, isn't it? I think so. It's 1984, completed Chapter 7, Chestnut, right? There we go. Okay, so Chestnut with Harmony, I think that's the one we're using. Good, sound booth is open. There you go, my old 2007 CS3 sound booth. And we are going to old time radio this thing. Because it's just a wonderful, wonderful little easy to use transformational tool on here. And it's got a few in this program, which is why I keep it. Doesn't that sound awful? Accurate though. Alright, there we go. So, we'll do that, it's Chapter 7, wasn't it? Yes, Chestnut with Harmony, Radio. Okay. Yep, that's fine. Do all that. Wonderful. So now, that's there, but we shouldn't have to do that. We will instead update the media. Chestnut with Harmony Radio. There you go. We'll make that change. We might have to modify the volume a little bit, but that's okay. So this one's a little bit quieter than the original, I think.
Note, a yellow note came into it. And then, perhaps it was not happening. Perhaps it was only a memory taking on the semblance of sound. A voice was singing. Under the spreading chestnut tree. A memory taking on the semblance of sound. A voice was singing. Under the spreading chestnut tree.
That's okay.
I sold you and you sold me. Tears welled up in his eyes. A passing waiter.
No, not so hard. And a little bit further down.
And you sold me. Tears welled up in his eyes. A passing waiter noticed that his glass was empty and came back with a gin bottle. He took up his glass and sniffed at it. The stuff grew not less but more horrible with every mouthful he drank. But it had become the element he swam in. It was his life, his death, and his resurrection. It was gin that sank him into stupor every night, and gin that revived him every morning.
I quite like the effect of this guitar fade out over this speech as well. I think that's good. I think it's effective.
When he woke, seldom before 1100, with gummed-up eyelids and fiery mouth and a back that seemed to be broken, it would have been impossible even to rise from the horizontal if it had not been for the bottle and teacup placed beside the bed overnight. Through the midday hours he sat with glazed face, the bottle handy, listening to the telescreen. From 15 to closing time he was...
Okay, so let's bring the music back. There we go. It's not much. I think it's about 18. There we are.
Listening to the telescreen. From 15 to closing time, he was a fixture in the chestnut tree. No one cared what he did any longer. No whistle woke him.
Oh, wow. I actually don't like that. I think that mood is a bit different. No, actually it does fit though. It does fit in the cafe. This is the sort of thing they pump out, and
no
mood be damned. I think that's a guiding principle of the party in general, isn't it? They don't really care how you feel.
The screen admonished him. Occasionally, perhaps twice a week, he went to a dusty, forgotten-looking office in the Ministry of Truth. Did a little work, or what was called work. He had been appointed to a subcommittee of a subcommittee which had sprouted from one of the innumerable committees dealing with minor difficulties that arose in the compilation of the 11th edition of the Newspeak dictionary. They were engaged in producing something called an interim report, but what it was they were reporting on he never definitely found out. It was something to do with the question of whether commas should be placed inside brackets or outside.
Outside.
There were 4 others on the committee,
Easy.
all of them persons similar to himself.
I'm sure that was actually an argument at the time, though. Orwell is not not a particularly facetious guy. If he was talking about something being argued in literature, chances are it was actually being argued. And English is one of those languages, you know, where everything's just a mongrel hodgepodge, basically. It's not really a language, it's a mess. That's what it is. Anyway, here we go.
There were days when...
Just ask a poet. They would rather work in virtually any language other than English. It's not a great language. Anyway.
There were days when they assembled and then promptly dispersed again, frankly admitting to one another that there was not really anything to be done. But there were other days when they settled down to their work almost eagerly, making a tremendous show of entering up their minutes and drafting long memoranda which were never finished. When the argument as to what they were supposedly arguing about grew extraordinarily involved and abstruse, with subtle haggling over definitions, enormous digressions, quarrels, threats even to appeal to higher authority, and then suddenly the life would go out of them, and they would sit round the table, looking at one another with extinct eyes, like ghosts fading at cockcrow. The telescreen was silent for a moment.
Just at the end of a song.
Winston raised...
That's wonderful. Look at that timing. Pure coincidence. I love that. Sometimes the gods are kind. And they'll just give me a coincidence that helps me out.
Telescreen was silent for a moment. Winston raised his head again. The bulletin. But no. They were merely changing the music. He had the map of Africa behind his eyelids.
Should we have a different kind of music there? What do you think? We have some options. We have some options. Let's have a run through. It'll be all the radio things. So, Phil, we're currently playing that first one, the Military Medley 2. First medley wouldn't really show up as a different one. Oh, honestly. This one's nice, but it's... I don't think it really fits the mood of this world. Do you know what I mean? Because it's just pretty. It doesn't seem to be saying anything very much. Yeah. This one's a bit too upbeat and cheerful, I think. No, this does not fit. Maybe the music hall singers... Maybe, but that one in particular is backwards. I'd have to make another copy. Deliberately backwards. Rhapsody number 2 I would love to use, but we've already used it. We used it at the start of this chapter. I think this might be a little outdated. Yeah. Ooh. Ooh. Yes. Yes. Listen to that desperation. It's trying to claw its way out. And falling back. Because it's hopeless. Excellent. I mean, I should just look through all the Russian composers, shouldn't I? Then we'd find plenty of miserable, depressing music. Alright, so we'll go with that one. And it was the Scaraban Etude, or something like that. It was, there we go. Skraben. I don't know. Mostly I fumble with the Scandinavian language so much because I have several Swedish friends and they hate it when I do that. And it's funny. Yeah. Okay, so let's even it all up and take it down to 18. I always feel tremendously disrespectful to the musicians that I'm using when I just barbarically go in and change the settings of their songs, but it has to be done,
He had the map of Africa behind his eyelids. The movement of the armies was a diagram, a black arrow tearing vertically southward, and a white arrow horizontally eastward across the tail of the first. As though for reassurance, he looked up at the imperturbable face in the portrait. Was it conceivable that the second arrow did not even exist? His interest flagged again. He drank another mouthful of gin, picked up the white knife.
Alright, wait. Drinking a mouthful of gin, we have a specific sound effect for that. Drinking, drink, pour, and swallow. Is that the mod for 1984? Why? What did I change? Right, no, that's good. That's good, because it is just the drinking sound.
His interest flagged again. He drank another mouthful of gin, picked up the white knight, and made a tentative move.
So we need a little click, a little wooden click. Do we have a little wooden click? I know we did. I think it was that. We just modified it a bit, or took one of these noises, and not the others.
Check.
Let's see.
Move. Check.
It's one of the unfortunate things about audiobooks, in that I very often can't make a realistic sound effect. I have to just do an over-the-top version thereof, you know, so that it's easily audible and everyone knows what it is.
Tentative move. Check. But it was evidently not the right move.
Alright, let's put that in the middle. That was a little rushed.
A tentative move. Check.
No, back a bit more.
Move. Check.
There we go.
But it was evidently not the right move because, uncalled for, a memory floated into his mind. He saw a candlelit room with a vast white counterpart.
Okay, so we're changing scene into a memory here.
A memory floated into his mind.
Alright, and that's cool because we have
uncalled for.
Alright, we'll put them there. Those are a little early.
A memory floated into his mind.
Okay, and now bloop and bloop, because he's not in the cafe anymore. And we're going to take out some of the music from the wonderful Jet. Where is it? Oh, we have to do a mod anyway, don't we? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Alright. So it's not here. I must have made it and put it in a specific spot. That's okay. I can make it again. We go to music and Jet. There she is, the wonderful Jet. We pull her into here. There we are. Alright, and it's mostly just this first bit that I use, but I do let it go into that if necessary. Oh wait, no, we don't need a radio, you idiot. It's not coming over the radio. This is a memory, Stephen. Oh my god, how dumb am I? Pretty dumb is the answer. Okay, so here we are, Ferris Wheel by the wonderful and talented Jet, and we'll just fade that in.
He saw a candlelit room with a vast white counterpaned bed, and himself, a boy of 9 or 10, sitting on the floor, shaking a dice box and laughing excitedly.
Right, okay. Now we have to decide here whether it would be more distracting to make the sound effects of the actual game, or whether it would help. And I think it would help. I do. So you're about to see how I actually go about getting some of my sound effects, and it's a little bit tricky. It's a little bit tricky sometimes. Alright, so first up, we say, alright, we're at the end of Ferris Wheel, and that's fine. And we save this project, because you never know. Rolling dice. Oops. Back. SFX. Rolling dice. Here we go. Dice. All sounds. Now, all sounds actually irritates me a bit. They're not... I can see what they're doing as a YouTube page. They're trying to gather, like, here's 50 different sound effects of this that you might want, and here's for this, and this, and this, and this. But they're all compilations that have been pinched from other people who, you know, have actually created the sound effects. They're in the public domain, so they're absolutely allowed to do that. It's just, you know, I'd rather give credit to the creators rather than the compilers. So let's have a bit of a look. There's quite a few options. As you can see on YouTube, if you do yourself a bit of a search, there's lots of options to find that. 3 seconds. That's awfully short, but it might be perfect. I don't think it will be though. Yeah, no, too short. I would like the sound of the shaking around in the hand a bit, and then releasing onto a tabletop or floor or something like that. That would be the ideal. Too much sound effect in the background. And is it the same sound effect over and over again? Yes, it is. And you can hear the air conditioner or whatever in the background. So we'll see. We'll see what we've got. Was it that one we just tried? I don't know. Let's have a look. Oh, that's better. Got it in his hand. That's a lot of dice, though. That is a lot of dice. What are you playing, Shadowrun? Jeez. I do like it, though. I do like it. It's good. I like it. I'm going to keep it. Little mod there. Little mod to download videos directly that I'm sure you're already aware of, and I would hope that you wouldn't use those on my channel. I do like to get paid for my work. It is pleasant. And then, unfortunately, this is the only software I've got that does this job, so I have to save the old job and then do this mod. That was for a different video, don't worry about that. In my downtime, I make stupid gaming videos. Did you know that? No, there's no reason you should. Now, it can't be that one, but I do maybe want like a different... Oh, God, am I going to use these guys again? I probably am. That's irritating. Yeah. Oh, Jesus. You see what I mean? They just grab everything and they shove them all in together, and they're all a bit OTT and, you know, blah, but, you know, whatever. It's fine, it's fine. You'll quite often find in there, you know, one really good sound effect hidden in amongst all the crapulence. Just means listening to them all. Oh, that was good, though. That was good. I liked that one. So that was at about 20 seconds or something like that. Here we go. Download that. Slowly comes in with my Australian intranet. And let's see. We might not even need you at all, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. It was around here, I think. Piss off. Yeah. There you go. It's those two. They're the two I really want. So we're going to cut those out with this stupid software that sucks. Do not buy Camtasia. Do not, you know, see me using this and think, oh, that must be a really good piece of software for doing that job or something. No, it's not. It's awful. It's just the one I've got. And as soon as this novel is complete, and the next one actually, I've got a little bit of editing to do on Alice in Wonderland left. As soon as this is done, I'm going to update my software, and this will never be in existence again. Where am I going to put the dice roll? Suppose I'll just put it in things for the moment. I've been trying to improve my filing, my categorization. No, don't say that. We're not interested in that. Don't want to keep that file. Alright, and then we will head over to S. Yeah, I've been trying to clean up these folders. I'm adding more and more folders to shove, sound effects into, but it's actually quite tricky. Things dice roll. There we are. In you go. Okay. Neat. Okay. Might be streaming a little bit too early today, I think. There's no one around, and there normally is. That's okay.
He saw a candlelit room with a vast white counterpaned bed, and himself, a boy of 9 or 10, sitting on the floor, shaking a dice box and laughing excitedly.
There we go. Shaking a dice box, so it's just the first part.
9 or 10, sitting on the floor, shaking a dice box and laughing excitedly. His mother was sitting opposite.
Sometimes I put in the sound of, boys laughing and girls laughing and all that sort of thing, but normally I try and avoid it. In 1984. Yeah, I don't know. I find it just I myself. I don't necessarily like using other people's recordings of their performances because I don't want to rip them off, And unless I've actually got them in my cast list and signed a contract, then I try not to use those sounds. Anyway.
Floor, shaking a dice box and laughing excitedly. His mother was sitting opposite him and also laughing. It must have been about a month before she disappeared. It was a moment of reconciliation. The nagging hunger in his belly was forgotten, and his earlier affection for her temporarily revived. He remembered the day well.
We're going to put in an actual dice roll. And cut that away. Let's make sure the timing's okay.
Her temporarily revived. He remembered the day well.
No, it'll have to be earlier than that.
A dice box and laughing excitedly. His mother was sitting opposite him and also laughing. It must have been
cool.
And his earlier affection for her temporarily revived. He remembered the day well. A pelting, drenching day when the water streamed down the window pane, and the light indoors was too dull to read by. The boredom of the two children in the dark, cramped bedroom became unbearable.
Just a little side note. Isn't Jet's piece of music just perfect for a dream scene? Ferris wheel, it's a great piece. I really love Jet's music, I really, really do.
Winston whined and grizzled, made futile demands for food, fretted about the room, pulling everything out of place, and kicking the wainscoting under.
But I have to mangle the settings. I'm sorry, Jet.
Till the neighbors banged.
We need to level the volume so there's no big sound shocks. Musicians, as they should, as all artists should, like to fluctuate what they're doing. I mean, it's a soundscape that the musician is creating themselves, aren't they? So they're going to want peaks and valleys and troughs and all that sort of thing. But for the background of an audiobook, I can't have anything like that. Nothing. No peaks and troughs. Certainly not. Certainly not. Nothing that's going to jolt the listener out of wherever they are, just living in the book. Or I know quite a few people use me to go to sleep, which I try not to take personally. No, no, it's fine. I've done that for my entire adult life. I listen to audiobooks to go to sleep. And the one thing I really hate in that is when someone has a sudden jolt, big loud noise right in the middle of something when I'm just about to drift off to sleep. So it's a guiding principle of mine that I want no peaks, no big shocking sounds. Even if someone is screaming their head off or there's an explosion or something like that, I try really hard to make sure that even that shocking sound is not louder than the rest of the audiobook. So I try and keep everything nice and stable.
On the wall, while the younger child wailed intermittently. In the end, his mother said, "Now be good. and I'll buy you a toy, a lovely toy. You'll love it. And then she had gone out in the rain to a little general shop, which was still sporadically open nearby, and came back with a cardboard box containing an outfit of snakes and ladders.
Now, again, I could have done footsteps going away and the door, and then footsteps approaching and the door again. But I think that's needless mess in this scene, you know. And we really want to push the imagery of what's going on rather than the specific sound effects of it, you know. This is a really important story. I mean, all the way through the book, we've been learning more and more about Winston and his mother and sister who disappeared, and whether he blames himself for their disappearance and all that sort of thing. His latent guilt over what happened to his sister, which, yeah, I mean, we've heard some hints from O'Brien, haven't we? And none of them were pleasant. So
he could still remember the smell of the damp cardboard. It was a miserable outfit.
Okay, now we have to decide what to do about Jet's piece in the background, because the second two-thirds of the song, while they're still very moody and atmospheric, they're a lot more upbeat and sort of cheerful. So what I normally do, I'm sorry Jet, don't watch, I'm about to mangle your music, is redo the first and just have it ease in there. Do you see? You can fade out, and there's a natural fade point to do it as well. We'll just see how this flows.
I'll buy you a toy, a lovely toy. You'll love it. And then she had gone out in the rain to a little general shop, which was still sporadically open nearby.
Okay.
It was a miserable outfit. The board was cracked, and the tiny wooden die.
Poor Jet. I mean, she's given me permission to use, to use all her music and that sort of thing, but I'm not sure that she thought I'd be, remastering everything that I ever use and adapting them all. But, that's... Everything is a sound effect, even music.
These were so ill-cut that they would hardly...
If it makes you feel better, I mangle my music mercilessly.
...lie on their sides.
My music's not as good, though, so it doesn't mean as much.
Winston looked at the thing sulkily and without interest. But then his mother lit a piece of candle, and they sat down on the floor to play. Soon he was wildly excited.
Okay, so let's have the second part of the dice roll. Okay, so we can delete you, and we'll get rid of you, and we're going to have that second dice roll here in the background.
Interest. But then his mother lit a piece of candle, and they sat down on the floor to play. Soon he was wildly excited.
That click-clack is too loud of the landing dice. That's all right. As it should be, as it would be, as you'd expect, but I still have to modify it.
Sat down on the floor to play. Soon he was wildly excited and shouting with laughter as the tiddlywinks climbed hopefully up the ladders and then came slithering down the snakes again, almost to the starting point. They played 8 games, winning 4 each. His tiny sister, too young to understand what the game was about, had sat propped up against the bolster, laughing because the others were laughing. For a whole lot. Afternoon, they had all been happy together, as in his earlier childhood. He pushed the picture out of his mind. It was a false memory.
Ah, no, it stopped there. Okay, good. Now, I'm going to break my own rule that I discussed earlier, and we're going to have... oh, go away, Google. It really concerns me how often I find my phone listening to me when it has no reason to. I think I want to get rid of my smartphone. As much as I don't want to be one of those conspiracy nuts, I mean, it's hard not to notice that your phone's listening to you all the time, right? How often have you just been sitting there talking about something in front of your phone, that you've never done a search for or anything like that. It's just you were talking about it, and then it starts popping up on your Facebook feed and your Instagram and all the ads around the place. You're like, what? But I was just talking about that. I haven't searched for it. That's because your phone is always listening to you. And Google are bastards. Sorry, I just like to remind my phone every now and again.
All afternoon, they had all been happy together, as in his earlier childhood.
No. That doesn't start until...
He pushed the picture out of his mind. It was a false memory. He was troubled by false memories occasionally. They did not matter so long as one knew them for...
Let's get some noises of the cafe for that return. What have we got? We got some plates. Yeah, let's just have some plates clinking. Well, I might have something better. Let's have a look. Kill Jet for the moment. Go into things. Because we have a crockery section. There we are. Spoon clink. That would be a good one. Yes. Let's have a little bit of spoony clinky. So you've played spoony clinky before. Alright.
Troubled by false...
Okay.
The false memory.
Oh, no. That's a deliberate... Okay. Alright, that's alright, but you can't have 3. You can't have 3 because that's the universal sign of, hello, I'm a self-important windbag, you should all listen to me. And we've got plenty of that already in this in this audiobook. That's quite a noisy stacking sound.
They did not matter.
Shush. Listening to sound effects. Ah, perfect. That's the one we want. Just a bit of knife on plate action. There we go. All right.
Mine. It was a false memory. He was troubled by false memories occasionally. They did.
Let's just pump the volume of this a little bit and drop you a little bit.
Picture out of his mind. It was a false memory. He was troubled.
Yes, but maybe the other way around.
He pushed the picture out of his mind. It was a false memory. He was troubled by false memories occasionally. They did not matter so long as one knew them for what they were. Some things had happened, others had not happened. He turned back to the chessboard and picked up the white knight again. Almost in the same instant, it dropped onto the board with a clatter.
Okay. So he picks it up and it drops. Now we have up here the bottle drag. Bottle drag, Stephen? What are you using bottle drag for? It's because I'm very clever. It's not. We're just going to use it as the sound of someone picking up the chess piece. And then we have toolbox put down. Why is it called that? I've named that really badly.
Almost in the same instant, it dropped.
There we are. Alright.
Went back to the chessboard and picked up the white knight again.
Alright, so the pitch is a little awful, so we're going to speed it up, which will, of course, raise the pitch.
The white knight again. Almost in the same instant, it dropped onto the board with a clatter. Here.
Let's take all of that, actually. Weirdly. I don't normally take that much of a sound effect like this.
With a clatter. He had started as though a pin had run into him. A shrill trumpet call had pierced the air.
Right, here we go.
As though a pin had run into him.
Now, this is another little problem. Quite often in books, you'll have the reaction to something happen, and then the thing that caused the reaction happens. And we're going to have to do that again, unfortunately. Yeah, not a lot I can do about it. That's just how things go. And you have to choose, how are you going to present it? No, not that. No, that's not it. Prepare for your radio political broadcast. No. ST. I thought I had trumpet. There must be some different ones. No. I don't think so. That's not very party. Maybe. Yeah, actually I quite like that. That might be it. Yeah, we've heard that before. And you'll hear it again in Alice in Wonderland. That's the Queen's theme. Oh god, no. We're not horse racing. Alright, so we'll take the second one there. And we'll use that. Most of the various sound effects that you see there were taken from this annoying group here. All sounds very irritating, but sometimes useful, so, you know. Alright, so it was fanfare various, and we're going to take the second one. And there we go, and looks like that's going to be very loud, so we'll just drop it quite a bit. And I think the placement was pretty far up, so.
And picked up the white knight again. Almost in the same instant, it dropped onto the board with a clatter. He had started as though a pin had run into him. A shrill trumpet call had pierced the air. It was the bulletin. Victory. It always meant victory when a trumpet call preceded the news. A sort of electric drill ran through the cafe. Even the waiters had started and pricked up their ears. The trumpet call had let...
Right, and that's not very good music for that, so we're going to fade that out. Whoops! Oh no, that's a very long fade. That's not very good at all. That was going to be fading from what, the very beginning of the song? Yes, just constantly fading out. All right. Yeah.
A shrill trumpet call had pierced the air. It was the bulletin. Victory.
Let's go a bit faster on that fade, shall we? And bring it back a little bit.
Shrill trumpet call had pierced the air. It was the bulletin. Victory. It always meant victory when a trumpet call preceded the news. A sort of electric drill ran through the cafe. Even the waiters had started and pricked up their ears. The trumpet call had let loose an enormous volume of noise. Already an excited voice was gabbling from the telescreen, but even as it started, it was almost drowned by a roar of cheering from outside.
Right, okay. Now we have established people. Crowd, applause, cheering. I've got a few, and only a couple actually of this, but let's see. See, that one feels like an award ceremony to me, not really a crowd cheering. I'm presenting Stephen Parker the award for the shoddiest, second-rate, most crapulent audiobook ever. Here we go, the winner, 2019 shitty audiobook, Steve Parker. Hey! Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'd like to thank my parents and my agents and my managers. Oh, I'm forgetting so many people. No, I promised I wouldn't cry. All right, get over yourself, Steve. Let's check the other sound effect. They're very quiet. You should press play. Again. It's like a TV show or something like that. Hard, hard, hard. Murmurs, riots, footsteps, right. Yeah, it's actually really hard to get the exact sound you could. Look at this. See, Jet has provided sound effects for me. That's her getting beaten up as Julia in one of the previous chapters. Anyway. Which one do you think? Which one sounds more like a natural crowd cheering at war news? No. Yeah, I guess that one. Okay, so that second one, crowd cheer. And we'll have that build up in the background.
The news had run round the streets like magic.
No, not from that start.
Excited voice was gabbling from the telescreen, but even as it started, it was almost drowned by a roar of cheering from outside. The news
from outside
had run round the streets like
yeah,
magic.
no, that's all right. That's okay.
He could hear just enough
And then we're going to drop it down more as well.
of what was issuing from the telescreen to realize that it had all... But even as it started, it was almost drowned by a roar of cheering from outside. The news had run round the streets like magic. He could hear just enough of what was issuing from the telescreen to realize that it had all happened as he had foreseen. A vast sea-borne armada had secretly assembled a sudden blow in the enemy's rear.
Right, let's switch this out. The music is definitely... They're definitely going to play like a martial... Right, after this. Of course they would. Of course they would. So we're going to go and find... Where is it? Come on, there you go. Ready in British Legion Military. We were playing Medley 2, so let's go to Medley 1. And for once, it can actually start at the start. Because they are starting a new album. Alright? Okay.
The white arrow tearing across the
Nowhere near that loud, though.
tail of the black. Fragments of triumphant phrases pushed themselves through the din. Vast strategic...
no, that start irritates me. I've heard it so often. So we'll pick another track. Is that one?
Again in the portrait of Big Brother,
No.
against which the whole...
No, not the road to Tipperary.
He was walking down the white tail
No, not a gentle thing.
guard at his...
No. Come on now. Come on now. No. No, alright. Maybe we'll go with the other one. Medley 2 might have something better to start with.
enormous face. 40 years it had taken him to learn what...
And Road to Tipperary again. Everyone loves that song. I don't know why. It's a long way to Tipperary. It's a long way to go. Oh, that's good. I like that. Nice drum start. Yeah, that sounds victorious, doesn't it? No lone trumpet. Unnecessary. There we go. Alright, so from here, we shall cut that, and we shall do a very slight fade in. Oops. Don't mess with the volume. You can see how close we are to the end, eh? Very close, very close. Enable the voice, the volume, the noise leveling. There we are.
Assembled a sudden blow in the enemy's rear. The white arrow tearing across the tail of the black. Fragment...
Oh, we're going to have to cut off a little bit there.
The tail of the black.
Right. A little bit more, not that much. Fade in.
Black.
Yeah, that sounds
Sudden
right.
blow in the enemy's rear. The white arrow tearing across the tail of the black. Fragments of triumphant phrases...
How about we give that a slower and just bring it in earlier?
A sudden blow in the enemy's rear. The white arrow tearing across the tail of the black.
Oh
Fragments
gosh, no,
of
even earlier than that. Earlier. I would like it there to take over from the cheering crowd.
A vast sea-borne armada had secretly assembled a sudden blow in the enemy's rear. The white arrow tearing across the tail of the black. Fragments of triumphant phrases pushed themselves through the din.
Dun, 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 and that, and just a little bit lower, because that's going to get pretty extreme. as the instruments kick in.
Fragments of triumphant phrases push themselves through the din. Vast strategic maneuver, perfect coordination, utter rout, 500,000 prisoners, complete demoralization, control of the whole of Africa, bring the war within measurable distance of its end, victory, greatest victory in human history, victory, victory, victory. Under the table.
Right, now I do think I have to change my voice there.
Control.
I have to put it through the radio filter.
Perfect coordination.
Right, so let's say at about 21 minutes, find the original file, which is here, 23 edit A. It's not going to let me do that while that's open. That's alright. We'll do this. It's fine. Okay, and you will take down the sound booth. Sometimes I use SoundForge for this sort of thing, but usually not. Usually not. And it was about 21 minutes, wasn't it?
Waiters had started.
Ow, my ears.
His tiny sister, too young to understand what the was gabbling from the telescreen, but even as it started, it was almost drowned by a roar of cheering from out. Of triumphant phrases pushed themselves through the din. Vast strategic.
Right, here we go. Make the start and delete all that. That looks like the end of it, doesn't it?
Victory! Victory!
Yep.
Under the table with.
Yep, and then back to that. Okay, neat. So we'll do this, and then so that we don't mangle everything, go Radio Steve. Okay, there we go. And we shall put onto it this old-time radio effect. Now, you usually find in whatever editor you're using there will be something like this, but if not, there are tutorials on how to create these effects yourself.
A rout. 500,000 prisoners.
Perfect. Okay. So now we'll grab that, and we didn't have to do that at all, did we? Alright, so we'll open that up again. There we are. And we were right down near the end. Bloopity bloop.
An enormous volume of prisoners. Complete.
There we are. Is that it?
Push themselves through the din.
Yep. Okay, so. Hey. Say. Where did that just go? Where did you go? Chapter. Oh, you went in there, did you? Alright, that's okay. We'll just pull you out. Where are you? There we are. Put you back in the back out here with all the chapter 23 stuff. Pull you in. Okay, and it was what? It was Radio Steve, something like that. Oh my god, my brain. There you go. Chapter 23, Radio Steve. There we are. Okay. So we replace these lines and temporarily kill that volume till we get to the end of that little section. Then we bring the volume back. Okay. And now we volume level my own stuff, take it up to the right volume, and there we go. Let's see how that sounds. Save.
Phrases push themselves through the din. Vast strategic.
How's that pause? A little bit long, maybe?
Through the din. Vast.
Yeah, a little bit long. A little bit long. Okay, so let's pull it back.
Through the din. Vast strategic maneuver. Perfect coordination. Utter rout. 500,000 prisoners. Complete demoralization. Control of the whole of Africa. Bring the war within measurable distance of its end. Victory. Greatest victory in human history. Victory. Victory. Victory.
Now, personally, I'm awfully tempted to cut up those lines and sort of lay them over each other, and maybe get some other actors even to come in and read the lines, so they sound like a bunch of different different voices saying it. They used to do things like that a lot back in like the 50s and 60s in films. If there was some big event that they were trying to show that the world was paying attention to this event, they'd have a bunch of different radio people, saying basically the same sort of stuff. But I can't necessarily do that. If I was making a film out of this, I would do that. But since it's an audiobook, you have to sort of try and keep it relatively simple. I do want everything easy to understand for the listeners, so I'm just going to leave it, despite the fact that I would love to play with it a bit.
Victory! Victory! Under the table, Winston's feet made convulsive movements. He had not stirred from his seat, but in his mind he was running, swiftly running. He was with the crowds outside, cheering himself deaf. He looked up again at the portrait of Big Brother, the colossus that bestrode the world, the rock against which the hordes
we're going to need some more music.
themselves in
right.
vain. He thought how 10 minutes ago, yes, only 10 minutes, there had still been equivocation in his heart as he wondered whether the news from the front would be of victory or defeat. It was more than a Eurasian army that had perished. Much had changed in him since that first day in the Ministry of Love. But the final, indispensable healing change had never happened until this moment. The voice from the telescreen was still pouring forth its tale of prisoners and booty and slaughter, but the shouting outside had died down a little. The waiters were turning back to their work. One of them approached with the gin bottle.
Okay, one of them approached with a gin bottle. That's very clear. It's a clear, real sound effect that's happening in the real world. So we are going to... Actually, I've already got sound effects doing this and judging their movement, the speed of their movement. Earlier. Where is that? No, that's still Julia and Winston together. This, I think, might be... See, what's that sound effect? No, that's not it. That's just Winston walking. I do have somewhere some waiters walking up and pouring drinks. And I do like to try and keep that. Right, that is the waiter, but that's him bringing something else. Come on, here we are. Is that it? Yes, that's the one. There we go. It was right at the start, but I knew I had it. Where I have already established how fast the waiters walk.
Running, swiftly run. Still been equivocation in his heart as he wondered whether that had perished. Much had changed in him since that first day in the Ministry of Love. But the final, this moment. The voice from the telescreen was still... Winston, sitting in a blissful dream. Shouting outside had died down a little. The waiters were turning back to their work. One of them approached with the gin bottle. Winston, sitting in a blissful dream, paid no attention as his glass was filled up.
Right. Okay. So let's bring them back a bit, and we shall have this sound effect over that gap. This is going to work well. Here we go. The waiters were turning back to their work. One of them approached with the gin bottle. Winston, sitting in a blissful dream, paid no attention as his glass was filled up. He was not running or cheering any longer. He was back in the Ministry of Love, with everything forgiven, his soul white as snow. He was in the public dock, confessing everything, implicating everybody. He was walking down the white-tiled corridor with the feeling of walking in sunlight. Right. Now, this is a tricky bit. I'm going to have to spend some time on this one, because we have to decide. This is the last bit. This is the last song, you know. We could just stretch out hypersleep. That would do it. That would do it. And I'd be happy with that. So let's see.
And an armed guard at his back. The long hoped for bullet was entering his brain. He gazed up at the enormous face. 40 years it had taken him to learn what kind of smile was hidden beneath that dark moustache. Oh, cruel, needless misunderstanding. Oh, stubborn, self-willed exile from the loving breast. 2 gin-scented tears trickled down the sides of his nose. But it was all right. Everything was all right.
Yes.
Struggle was finished.
Yes.
He had won the victory over himself.
Yes.
He loved Big Brother.
That's the peak. That's the peak.
The end.
Right, and then we're going to have to bring it up a bit more. I want to point there. We're going to have that whole swell. Then we're going to drop it down again for that one. Whomph.
He loved Big.
Let's just bring that back a bit.
So, he loved Big Brother. The end.
Oh, yes.
1984, written by George Orwell. Read by Steve Parker, with performances by Jen.
Not so much of a drop there.
1984, written by George Orwell. Read by Steve Parker, with performances by Jet, James Whitrow, and Tim Williams, who played O'Brien. To support this and future releases, please visit patreon.com/Steve Parker.
Oh my god. That worked so well. That worked so well. I absolutely love that. Jet's music in general has just suited 1984 to a T. You know, it's all very sort of atmospheric. A lot of it's not that dark or dire. A lot of it's, you know, she does have more cheerful musics, but I have found a lot of them have been just really, really useful. Really useful for this. Look at that. Do you know what that is? That's the last chapter of 1984 complete. Now, this is just the first draft of the final chapter. I will go and listen to this and write myself 1,000 notes of things I have to fix, and then I'll go back and fix them. But this, for the moment, is the conclusion of 1984. That's nearly a year's work. Crazy. Crazy. Let's go and have a look while we're here, actually. We'll go kick this in and have a look at my little videos and see when the first one popped up, because I really do think it was about a year. About a year. Where are we? Here we go. 1984 chapter 1, 1 year ago. Look at that. A year of work to bring out this book. Wow. Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. Brave New World. Before that, staggering, staggering. No, this is fantastic. Yeah, a year of work, and 1984 should come to fruition. It'll be finished. Brilliant. Brilliant. So happy. Such a massive job, such a massive book, and so heavy, so weighty, so dramatic. I know if I can throw some more sort of wankery, actory terms at you, I will say that from an actor's perspective, I mean, man, no, it's hard because I am such a wanker, and most actors nowadays aren't actually as wanky as I am. You know, they just sort of live on the surface. Most actors, particularly industry actors, are much more along the lines of, hey, I'm pretty and fun, and I had lots of friends at high school, so I decided to be an actor, and I'll just walk up to my mark and say my line, and it doesn't really touch them. But I take the story into myself, you know. I have to be that story in order to perform it. And I've had 1984 in my heart for a frickin' year now. And it's heavy, it's dark, you know. When I initially started editing Alice in Wonderland, it was a lovely little holiday. You know, it's such a pleasant, funny, happy, interesting world. It was just so much lighter than the world of 1984. Yeah. So Alice in Wonderland is next, and then after that, we have actually already started work on the next novel. Oh yes. And it's another classic, of course. I can't let you know what it is just yet, but I hope you'll like it. I hope you'll like it. We get lots of requests from listeners of books that they want me to make, but they're very often not in the public domain. So eventually, when we're making more money and I can sort of hire people and make some deals with publishers and that sort of thing, I look forward to making some more contemporary books, but for the moment, it's all public domain stuff. All right, so that's that. I will then produce the test audio piece. 1984, chapter 23, test temp. There we go. We'll compile that and I'll listen to it and start fixing it up and getting it ready for you chaps. Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for joining me for this. I hope you have enjoyed this or found it, I don't know, maybe you got some useful tips in there or something like that. The 1984 will be finishing very, very, very soon. I think next Friday, it will finish on Patreon. A couple of weeks after that, about a month after that, it will finish on YouTube. And then Alice in Wonderland will start. Wonderful. Excellent. Thanks for joining me, and we'll catch you on. Bye-bye.